And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pattinson Ave Phanatics show. I am your host, James Scorza, with you. With us, as always, is the group of companions on this beautiful Saturday morning, Mr. Joey Marks,
What is happening in Philadelphia?
Cowboy Dave Yarnell. Oh, I- I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead, buddy.
How's everybody doing today? Good morning.
Damon will be on just shortly, and Frank and Tom will be back hopefully by next week. And Joey, let's get on to the Philadelphia sports scene. A little bit of great stuff that was going on this week. So, what happened in the beginning of the week of Philadelphia sports? So, let's begin with whatever you want to begin with.
All right, so let's begin with your Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, we
I
had
knew you're.
some.
I knew you're gonna go there.
Let's begin with the Philadelphia Phillies, who've had some seismic shift going on in their major roster. So I'm gonna open this up to the floor, but I want you guys to grade what moves were made. You can break it down by each individual move. You can grade it as a whole, but grade Dombrowski when it comes down to this past trade deadline. What do you give him, Dave Arnold?
What do I give Dombrowski? I give him a B plus. I think it was a good move for what they did. I think the team got better. I like the fact that I'm not a Syndergaard guy. I never was, but you're going to get what you get from him. And if he's going to give you 6-7 innings, I'm okay with that. And with the like I said, his record's not the greatest. I mean, he's 5-8, or 6-8 now, with an ERA over 3, which is okay. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's okay. But he has experience. He's been here. I mean, he knows the National League, and being with the Mets, he knows the deal with that. And I think it's, like I said, I give it a B plus at this point. And if I had to go with, I wasn't a fan of the Marsh deal. I thought the Marsh thing was, his defense is great. That's fine, but he's batting 228, 8 home runs, whatever the case is. Is it great numbers? No. But is his defense going to help out in the long run? Sure. I mean, we no longer have a Herrera. We know, which is, I think our center fielder problems are over with this kid, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But in the long run, like I said, and getting Robinson back, I mean, he's been here before in 2019. Didn't work out the first time because he had Tommy John surgery. I get all that. But this time around, he was, like I said, he looked good with Chicago, which I can't believe Chicago got rid of him. I didn't see that coming. That kind of surprised me a little bit because he was doing well there. But I guess now he's with a winning team, and he can only help us out in the bullpen. So is he going to be our closer? I don't know for sure because our manager keeps changing the closer role every time I turn around. So, but like I said, out of the 3 guys that we got, I give it a B plus.
And
James scores it.
And to piggyback what you said, Dave, I think that's a very good point because the Phillies had that little bit window about how they're going to get better. And I really like the Syndergaard move, but I really like the Brandon Marsh move more precisely because it shows me that this team, I mean, look, I know we had to get rid of one of our prospects, Mickey Monia, which is like sad to see him go. But Odubel Herrera, I think his time was up. I mean, that to me, that when he did it last week with the blunder, I think was against Pittsburgh, it was just like, he probably like sailed his way out of here basically. And the Brandon Marsh thing, I like because it's like it's a bat that you can bring to the occasion, and he can be like fit in with the guys. You don't have to take Harper out of the center field hole or move around the outfield. And I think it was a good move, but overall, I think they did a hell of a job of with Syndergaard and Marsh, and Dombrowski did a really good job with all that.
Real quick, I kind of forgot to say one more thing. I want to go to the infield real quick. I know, I know Segura's back. I know he's 0 for 6 in his last 2 games, but that'll come in time because he's coming off the injury. I understand that, but to me, Didi leaving. I don't know. I was on the fence with it, Joe. I got to be honest because I think his defense was really good. I think, I know his bat wasn't the greatest. I understand his bat wasn't coming around, but his defense was, stellar. I mean, he was making plays left and right. And I'm not much of a stock guy, to be honest with you. I don't think he's all that great. If people see more than him than I do. I mean, I see 190. I see 199. That's what I'm saying. But if that's the case, fine. But
all
other than
right.
that's all I got.
So here's my thing is, okay, so I covered this with Matty B on the Fighting's final prior to it happening because we had talked about it after the trade deadline and the fact that, well, with Segura coming up, that means someone has to go down, and you're not moving Derek Hall down because he's too hot.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought it would have been Munoz. I would have thought it would have been Camargo. I did not think it'd be Didi because one of the main reasons is I don't love his defense. I really don't. And I get where people say, well, he's great. But I'm like, in the last month, I can vividly recall three bad blunders on Didi's part defensively. One where he would didn't realize that there was one out, and he could have started a double play. Another one where he refused to throw the ball because he felt like he didn't have the arm strength to get it there in time to first. And another one where he misjudged a bounce. And it just, he didn't put himself in the right place. This is a veteran. This isn't like Bryson. Stop making these errors and blunders. A young kid, you expect a little bit of that mental lapse, but not with a guy like Didi. Now, that being said, Didi Gregorius is a quality guy. I know he wasn't doing it with his bat, not as much as what the old Didi did. But would I rather have Didi Gregorius over Munoz or Camargo? Yeah, I would, only because I feel like he brings some of that veteran presence, that winning mentality as well. It's not just sometimes you have to fill your your clubhouse with winning mentality. And when you have a guy like Didi, even if he's not producing, and like I said to you guys last week, if Didi was on the bench, that's a hell of a bat to have on the bench. I mean, I get it's not consistent, but still.
It can't hurt. It can't hurt not to have.
It can't. Over Camargo and Munoz. Now, James, what did you grade Dabrowski on the trades? Like what the overall trade deadline? What do you give Dabrowski? Dave gave a B+. What do you give him?
I say the same thing as Dave said. I think it's a B+ for me because, like I said, they did a real good job with what they did based. And the other thing I like about it too is that, I mean, look, I was a little shocked, gonna admit, about the Didi thing. I mean, I thought it was a little bit of a shocker, but I guess the reason why they got rid of him because he's not good at that, maybe. And I mean, his defense could go so far, but yeah, I gotta give it definitely a B+.
So I'm gonna go and give Dabrowski a B-.
Okay,
and
that's fair.
And this is one of the reasons why. So we went and got Marsh, and I get that, but Marsh was one of the first deals done, and I felt like with what we gave up with O'Hoppe and what we gave up with other trades later in the day, I felt like center field needed to be someone substantial. I felt like we needed to have a consistent bat, not someone that still lacks in consistency. And like you said, Dave, he's batting like 228. This is that's not a level of consistency, especially from that, part of the outfield. Like everyone's been telling me he's going to be an everyday starter. Well, then where are you going to bat him? 8th, 9th? And then the idea that what happens when other teams struggle? I mean, this guy has to find a niche in this lineup, and it can't just be for defense.
Right.
So I felt like there were other opportunities out there. I'm not saying like they all would have been stellar, but I feel like they would have been better offensively than Marsh. I think, especially with what you gave up throughout the day, maybe you wouldn't have gotten a David Robinson. Maybe you would have just gotten a Noah Syndergaard and a Marsh. Okay, I know that doesn't seem like, well, that's subtraction without addition, and it's like I get it, but if I can up that level at center field, both defensively and offensively, this especially with Harper, on the rise with the comeback, and we'll get to that later. but that just makes this team all the more. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're doing good. Go ahead.
So, the next question I have is, that being said, with Harper, do you guys have any confidence that Harper will be back by September? Dave?
It's a good question, Joey. I think he'll be back. I don't think he'll be 100% Harper, but he'll be back. An 80% Harper, I'll take that at this point. It's fine. I mean, what do you do? My question is, if Harper does come back, does he DH? Do you keep Castellanos in right? I don't know. I don't know the story with him.
I think it depends on his mobility with his hand. I mean,
because Mr. Castellanos is starting to show a little bit last few days. We're starting to see a little the bat starting to hit it a little bit, making a couple plays, in right field. Nice play at home to save the game the other night for 5 innings. I mean,
I think he's sleeping at a motel now. I don't think he's.
I don't think he's in. Yeah, is that what it is? But he's playing. Like I said, we're starting to see. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but we're starting to see flashes of the Castellano we saw last season. Can it continue? Yeah, it can. But like I said, if Bryce comes back, do you DH Bryce? Do you keep Castellanos in right? I'm not the manager. I don't know, but I don't know. It's up to them, whatever they want to do.
See, you got to understand. So with Bryce's hand, he got the pins out. So now it's about pain tolerance. Now it's about trying to figure out how much he can handle. Now, Bryce is going to push it, especially when we're in the hunt. So he's going to want to be a part of that. When he was in the broadcast booth on, I believe it was Thursday
night.
Yeah. When he was on the broadcast booth Thursday, he said he wants to be out there. He said that he doesn't want to just let this define what his season becomes. And it's clear that that's something weighing on his mind. So I feel like the determination of whether he'll be a DH or whether he'll be in the outfield is really a determinant of how far you can push that hand.
That's good point, Joey. Good point. Al, as you were saying, yes, I guess he has to DH. That makes more sense. Because you're not taking his bat out of the lineup. I mean, I get it. That's fine.
So, James, what do you think? What do you think the chances are of Harper coming back by September?
That all depends on if he has any setbacks. That's going to be the biggest key for me. The question is, who's going to replace that? Who are you going to send down? It's hard to say because it's like you got a lot of great players on this team that are basically I think what they have to do is they have to make sure what's right for Bryce, and I think a Derek Hall maybe has to be sent down and put Castellanos back at the DH more precise. I think the other thing too is that it's really hard to say where you're going to put him at because you can't if that all depends on a setback. So I say the one thing I have to say is that if Bryce has a setback, then you have to make a tough decision.
No, I think they'll DH him, James. I do. I think they'll DH him, and
I think at worst he'll DH. That's at worst. Now, at best, I feel like depending on what he feels, because look, it's his hand, not his feet, and the elbow has had time to heal as well because of the thumb in and of itself.
Sure.
So that being said, like I said, it's about the flexibility. If he can throw that ball and he can catch without pain and he can throw it without pain, and he's been doing these drills the last couple of days since he's gotten the pins out. He's been trying to grip the ball. He's been trying to receive it. He's been trying to see where the pain is and all of that. But, nothing's wrong with his legs, so that's the positive. But if he can't catch a ball, he's a liability out there. So I think at worst you're talking DH. Now, I want to tap into something that James mentioned is when Bryce comes back, that means, yeah, just like the whole Segura thing, you have to make a space. So does that space come from someone like a Derek Hall? Does that space come from someone like a Camargo or someone like a guy in the bullpen? Does that mean someone else out of this team could be waived?
Well, you can always DH Derek Hall. I mean, that's not a problem with that. I mean, like I said, you play if you're putting, let's put it this way, if you're putting Bryson right, if he's playing right field, you can always DH Hall. If you're putting Castellanos in right, then you DH Harper. It's not like you're not losing
Right,
anything.
but who would you send down? Who would you send down in order for Bryce to be on the main roster? There's got to be a spot freed up, and like that. It's the Segura DD thing.
To me, I've been saying it. I know you guys don't like it, but bye, Stott. You're gone. Bye. See ya. Do it because you can put
down.
You can put Gene back at second. Put what do you call it? Put your Bowman third. I mean, it's. I don't know.
I think there are other spots, and I think that as you go closer to the playoffs, your bullpen shortens. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like it shortens like you get less players. It means that you begin to move some of the stars like a Ranger Suarez into that bullpen because you go from 5 starters to 4 to closer or possibly even to 3 depending on the series. You start to kind of minimize how many your rotation and put some of those guys in the bullpen. Therefore, you don't need to have as many arms in the bullpen. So I think depending on if Harper comes back by early September or late September, and you got to keep in mind, he might benefit, Harper that is, might benefit coming back in September because then he could count as the September call-ups. But then ultimately, you're going to have to make a decision after the September call-ups and when we go into Red October, who stays, who goes. Like, because that's still going to be the conundrum. Like, there's still going to have to be a spot. But I feel like with the bullpen getting put into place with some of those starters and some of those bullpen shortening, I feel like you might go that route because then you can keep Stott. I don't understand your issue with Stott other than I feel like you're micro analyzing the batting average.
He's hitting 199. I mean, seriously, his defense is okay. I'm not a fan. Never was. He's okay.
Dave, I don't know if you realize this, but the league average right now for batting average is hovering around 240.
He's under 200.
No, I get that, but do you know that the average for the baseball hitters in the league it usually isn't that low? This is a low year for a lot of guys.
That's better pitching. That's why.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but I also think that it has a lot to do with the mechanics of hitting. Is a lot of these batters are sitting there going, well, I have to uppercut swing. I have to do this. And I think it's a big reason why like guys like an Austin Riley stand out in like the MVP race because a guy who can bat as well as he can
and play a great third base. So he's
I agree.
He's outstanding.
But if he can bat the way that he does, and it's not like if you go through the last 10 or 15 years in baseball, he wouldn't have been in the MVP race in most times. But like he just happens to be batting really well when the majority of the league is not.
I mean, I like that. I like guys like Arenado. He's so good.
A lot of people like guys like Schwarber and Gallo Joey Gallo because they can hit the home run. They don't care about the strikeouts.
I'm not a Gallo guy.
I'm not either.
I mean, no.
Where did he go, Joey Gallo?
He went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So the Dodgers.
I was watching him last night. I was watching him. They were playing San Diego.
So
speaking of the Dodgers, before let me go. I'm sorry for interrupting, but
no, go ahead.
Let me be the first to say my sincere condolences to the Dodgers family Vince
Yes.
Scully's passing. So it was been a rough week for a lot of broadcasters, that especially people that I grew up listening to, like the Vince Scully's and Harry
Mhm.
Callises.
Yeah,
That
we lost a legend. We sure did.
yeah,
Yeah.
lost a great legend, and even
Mhm.
to this day, hearing great stories about him. May he rest in peace. And my
Yes.
thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, Mr. Scully, and
The
always
Dodger family.
and the
Dodger.
Dodger
Yeah.
family. Thank you,
What was
thank
he? 89, 88, something like that.
92.
92?
Mhm.
I thought he was 89. Okay.
Nope.
Oh,
you. Yeah,
So I mean, and here,
okay.
and we'll get to that a little later on,
Yeah.
because I have a question that revolves around that. But I want to touch base. Me and James met on Monday, and this was prior to the deadline, and we both had a pretty open conversation, candid conversation about who, where certain people can go as
Mm.
far as like with Soto. So the
Uh,
Soto sweepstakes was between the Cardinals and the Padres. And I had said to
mhm.
James, I feel like it'll be the Padres that land them.
Right.
And more than that, I feel like it'll lock them into a playoff position. Like
Mhm.
whoever got Soto, I felt like was going to lock their position in as a playoff contender.
You
Now,
They
called that,
should.
Joe. You called that,
right.
man.
Now that being said, um, me and James also did research. The Padres have never won a World Series.
Yeah, sure.
They've only been to one in '98, but they've never won one.
Okay.
This is the Padres, in their perspective. They basically feel like Tatis can come back. They have Machado. You add Soto, and you have Hader now as your closer.
And don't forget about Bell.
Yeah, I get that. So you have a lot of quality talent here to make a run. It won't matter if they can't catch the Dodgers. It's just about getting into the dance.
Mhm.
So my question to you guys is, were the Phillies even in the Soto hunt? Because everyone said
Yeah.
that, and I just don't. I believe that was smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they were. I don't even think
Yeah,
they were even considering Soto. To be honest with you.
Okay.
yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
it's smoke and mirrors too.
when you have a Harper, what do you need a Soto for? You know.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
thing. Like, why would you
I mean,
get
it
Soto?
helps. Don't get me wrong, but they can't afford both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I mean that. I'm glad you brought the money up, Dave, because I was listening to a Phillies commentary
Mhm.
when it was on the national scene. I think it was like Fox or something. No, I think it was
Hey,
Peacock.
Mike.
And they basically said, you know, the one guy said the one commentator said there's no there's teams that have done $200 million contracts, 200 plus
Mhm.
$1 million contracts with multiple players, and it
Mhm.
hasn't worked out. And I looked sideways like, are you kidding? I'm like,
Yeah.
do we not remember the New York Yankees with Derek Jeter, A-Rod, and all of those guys? Like, I think they won a couple World Series, and they all were making north of $200 million. I mean, they
Yeah.
were printing money in New York. Now, that being said, New York and the Yankees have been a winning organization for a very long time,
A
even
long time.
before
Yeah.
Jeter and before A-Rod. Now
Yep.
San Diego hasn't. So wait, you're telling me that in a state where you have to pay $20 to get a cup of coffee, that they're not willing to pay $200 million
Yeah,
for multiple players? Come on,
Yeah, I get
Ex-
it.
especially for a championship, please.
I think San Diego's all in now. They went all in with this trade.
Yes.
They want to win. You can see they want to win. I mean, Machado, Bell, Soto, Tatis when he comes back. I mean, they're all in on it, and that's fine. That's great. If you're all in on it, you want to win it, go with it. I
Right.
say go with it. I don't see a problem with it.
Well, you know what happened?
You
Like
know,
last year, the Braves won the
I
trade
mean, yeah,
deadline.
Braves did the same thing. I mean,
Yep. They went in
it's
all in, and
and
you saw the
and
result, so they know.
yep, yep.
So in speaking of a championship, I want to get your realistic takes on what the reality is as far as your Philadelphia Phillies being a possible World Series contender? Do you
They're not
see
there
that?
yet.
They're not there yet. Even
No.
with Harper.
They're not there yet.
Even with Harper.
Nope.
I mean, add Harper. Okay. So they're not. What do you think they're lacking?
They need another bullpen guy, as far as I'm concerned. They need a closer, a true closer. They don't have a true closer. They don't
Okay.
have that guy.
Okay, but so name a person.
Like they
in
need
your
a
mind.
Kimbrel. They need a Kimbrel. They need somebody like that to, to know that they can shut it down in the ninth inning. I mean, we don't have that guy. We just don't.
I think I can help you
You
with
can
that.
you can give me Sir Anthony all you want, and that's fine. And you can give me, Robertson all you want, and that's good. But they don't have that. They don't have the Mitch Williams, the Bradlidges, those guys that we had in the past that got us to the dance. They don't have that. They just don't.
Go ahead, James.
I got a good question to ask you since you put up the closer rule. I know that I did an article about the what the Phillies' hindsight will be this year. I think the one guy that would be a good fit here, if they were looking for one, would be like a Mark Melancon or maybe Liam Hendricks from the White Sox, because I don't see the White Sox or Diamondbacks going anywhere, but I know Melanson struggle a little bit. And also the same thing with Hendricks. He's on a great team, but he's on like a tough race with the Guardians and also the Twins right beside them. So that would have been a nice piece to have. I mean, but I like the Robertson. I really like Robertson a lot. I think he's going to prove himself what he has to show.
Joey, I got to be honest. My favorite closer in the game is Diaz. I love him. I think he is the greatest. I think he's the best closer in the game. I watch him. Oh, Edwin, are you kidding me? From the Mets, that guy doesn't. His stuff is sick, man. It's just sick. You watch him, and he throws so hard, and he's so consistent in the strike zone. I mean, when he's on, he's on.
I wouldn't get any more Met closers because apparently we had one that.
No, but I'm saying, but Diaz is really good. I watch him, and he amazes me every time. I mean, the other day, who was it? Backi put him in the 8th inning, and he closed out 8th and 9th. And to me, that's just awesome. I mean, if you can have a guy like that, I got no problem with it.
See, now I would go ahead and disagree with that only because of one main reason. If we go back and forth with saying, okay, you need to have a flamethrower in the back end, you don't. I mean, you can get a guy that finesses and gets the ground ball and gets strikeouts. Technically, even if you wanted to think about it, a closer needs to be a guy that, in order to, preserve some of his pitches and preserve some of his stamina, he has to induce the ground ball. Being able to blow it by somebody, you're just waiting for your arm to blow up like Aroldis Chapman's did. Like, you're waiting for your arm to, completely obliterate. And that's the one reason why Sir Anthony Dominguez went on the shelf, is because he blew up his arm. And
if that's the case, then that's our Brad Hand then, if you're going to go that far. And whatever. It's fine.
No, I'm just saying that I agree with you that there's not a consistent closer on this team. I would agree with you. But I'm also going to disagree that you need to have a flamethrower, like a Nate Diaz.
Hey, it can't hurt. It can't hurt.
Until that guy puts it where,
Well, if he knows his body, he knows he's throwing hard, he's throwing mid-90s.
All right, but what happens at the end of the season when your arm is worn down?
Well, I mean, you're not going to use him. You're not going to use him consistently, but I mean, use him
what's the point of a closer?
I mean, when the moment's right. If you're down, if you're up a run, up a 2, if you're up 3 or 4 or 5, you don't need to use him. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, if I have a closer, he better be consistent. He better be.
Yeah, Diaz he's been money from what I've been watching.
Right, but if I'm gonna blow up his arm, then if I'm trying to make a deep playoff run, I'm not trying to put this guy in for 2 innings.
If that's the case, I mean, the Phillies blew up Lidge's arm too. I mean, they blew up Mitch's arm.
They did, because
that's what I'm saying. But they got him to the dance. You know what I'm saying?
Right. They blew it up at the right moment.
Right.
So they rode that horse into the ground, so to speak. And I mean,
these kids are young and healthy. They're throwing hard. It's not going to bother them. It's not.
No. You can't say that, because
I mean, these kids. I mean, if they were older, I could see that. But these kids are young. I mean, they're throwing.
Dominguez had Tommy John surgery at 22.
Well, so did Robertson, and he's your closer for the Phillies. I mean, come on. Really?
No, but Robinson had it at like 31.
Right,
Like,
but he was here in 2019. What did he play? 6 games.
I get that, but what I'm
I mean,
saying, you're telling me these guys are young guys. Some of
and they're
these young
throwing
guys
hard.
are, but some of these young
Yeah.
guys are getting through Tommy John surgery because they're getting their arms blown up.
Like I said, it's got to be the right situation. I mean, if you're up 4 or 5 runs, you don't need them. If you put them in for 2, you're up 1 or 2. You need that win. You do it. You know.
So, Dave, you give the Phillies no chance to make it to the World Series.
I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. To be honest with you, that's just me.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're. No, time out. Let me finish. I think the Cardinals get the 3rd spot.
James, go ahead.
I don't think they make the playoffs. I think the Cardinals get the 3rd spot.
I got nothing.
You got nothing.
Why do you think that? Because the Cardinals just beat the Yankees yesterday, and they're dead even with the Phils right now.
Yeah, but they're like the hottest team right now, Dave.
So the Cardinals are hot too. They're playing well.
Yeah,
I just don't.
But there's a 3rd wild card now. I mean,
Phillies are a 3rd wild card. They're tied with St. Louis, who's tied with Milwaukee in the Central. Come on.
I get that.
Okay, so what are you trying to tell me? You think this team's a playoff team? They could be.
But they are.
Oh, time will tell, won't it? They still got to play the Mets 7 more times. I mean,
yeah.
Hold up. So I want to get this clear.
The schedule goes their favor. I mean, they got to play the Nationals 7 more times. Come on.
Let's be clear, Dave. Let's be real clear. So as it's currently constructed, as it currently is, I should say, the Phillies and the Cardinals are tied for the 3rd wild card spot. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And remind me, who has the tiebreaker?
Well, right now the Phillies do. I get it over Milwaukee and Cardinals. So, I understand that.
So if the season ended today,
but it doesn't. It doesn't. That's the problem. It doesn't end till October. So you cannot sit there and tell me.
That's correct.
Right. And you can't sit there and tell me that this team is. I mean, okay, the ball's going out of the ballpark. They're hitting the crap out of the ball. I understand that. I get it. Talk to me in September and late in September when it starts raining and the Phillies aren't doing what they're supposed to. I'm not seeing it. I'm just saying. That's just me.
But I'm trying to understand how you're not seeing it
because I don't think they're that good of a team. They're average, above average at best. I mean, they're 10 games over 500. They weren't before when they had Girardi. Tell me I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Make the playoffs and I'll shut my mouth. Until then, I'm not saying anything.
Well, I mean, here's my point of view: is that you go to what they've already accomplished this season. If you go to like the teams they've already beaten the Dodgers pretty well.
Are they better than the Dodgers? No. Are they better than the Mets? No, they're not. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not.
All right, so then you tell me, did they or did they not sweep the Dodgers in LA?
Yeah, but
so you just said. But you just said to me they're not better than the Dodgers.
They're not. They're not better. Record-wise, who has the better record? The Dodgers do.
I understand that. But you're also talking about the Dodgers who play inferior teams in their division. Outside of the Padres.
And look at ours. We're playing the Nationals, who has 37-some wins. Right, come on.
Right. But it's the Padres and the Dodgers. Can you name
right, who are totally two definitely better teams than the Fighting Phils.
Well, listen, and for all you're arguing about this, we hold the tiebreaker on both those teams.
And that's fine. Right now, in August, you do. Talk to me in September and October if we don't. Right? When they're ahead of us.
We're 3 or 4 weeks from that, Dave. It's not like we're 2 months from it.
I get it.
This is a team that, in my opinion, for what it's worth, I am still not wavering off of what I said before. I know it's an uphill battle. I would have liked for them to sweep the 2-game series with the Braves, because then when it's a split like that, it's kind of like a wash.
It's a wash. I heard you say that the other day. Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of a wash, which just sucks because I would have rather have gained a game. The idea is if you would have swept them, you would have gained 2. But instead you gained none. So it just sucks.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, Joey, like you said, it's a race. It's not a sprint. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a race. I get it, but I think at the end, I just don't think they're gonna. I just think the Cardinals are gonna get that 3rd spot. That's just my opinion.
James, what do you think? Do you think this team has has enough firepower, has enough talent to possibly get to a World Series this year?
It's about who's the hottest team, Joe. That's the thing. I mean, like look at the teams that were. I mean, like you look at playoff teams. It's like you get the first seed. Like we've been there twice. We lost to Cinderella teams. So I say it's all open. If they play the way they do, and Mike made up a good point. Like they're 10 games over 500. It's like how is that not good?
And so are the Cardinals. What are you telling me? The same thing. It's the same thing. Cardinals are 10 games over 500.
I understand that. And the other thing, too, is that it's like I look at this team and I see that they're going to make a big surprise in the offseason.
Hold up, Dave.
I hope they do.
I'm going to correct you for a second because you're starting to sound like Kyle Quinn. You're talking out both sides of your mouth. And I got to put this where it is. So you just said that the Cardinals are 10 games over 500. But you just said that the Cardinals were better than the Phillies.
I believe they are.
We have the same record. How is that? How is that possible? If we have their tiebreaker over the Cardinals and we have the same record, how are they still better than us?
I said no. I said at the end of the day, in October, the Cardinals will have a better record than the Phillies. I believe that.
All right. I'm not going to put a bet on the table because I'll tell you this right now. I just feel like I'd be just taking your money. So
Joey, no, don't go there. Don't go there. Because I'm just saying, great, the Phillies are hot right now. I get it. The ball's going out of the ballpark. They're hitting the ball. That's fine.
So then what?
Talk to me.
What drives
Talk to me in September. Talk to me in September when Noah falls like he always does. And then things just start falling. They will eventually.
But why do you feel that way?
Because I've seen it so many times. I mean, this team hasn't made the playoffs since 2011. Are you kidding? Come on.
Okay. And you think this team is not as good as those other teams prior, like after between now and 2011? You think this team is not as good?
What was that comment, James? Go back to that comment again.
Oh, okay.
Cardinals have 2 with the Yankees. Yeah, they just beat them yesterday. What are you telling me? And the Phillies 2 with the Giants. Okay. Hopefully 2 up. Anything's possible. Yeah, the Giants are falling right now, but okay. I get it.
I mean, I'm trying to understand. I really am, but I'm having a hard time because you're telling me you don't see this team being a September team.
I just don't think they're a September team. I don't see it, Joey. I'm sorry. You can.
No, I get it, but I'm just trying to understand your point of view, and just by saying, oh well, they're not going to do it because they've not done it in the last 10 years. Well, this team isn't the last 10 years team. This team is the best thing they've assembled in a long time.
Okay. Fine.
Go ahead, James.
No, and they're young too. And it's like they got a lot of young pieces on this team that can make a lot of noise.
Agreed. And like, look, I feel like I understand.
If I'm wrong, fine. So be it. I just don't see it. But go ahead.
I just don't want you to sit there and go, all right, I don't see it. And then when it comes like mid-September and these guys are like really hitting the ball, you're like, well, I'm pleasantly surprised.
No, I'll stick to my guns. I'm not going to go that route.
All right.
So let me even go one step deeper. And Dave, what do you think? What part of this team would need to improve in your mind in order for them to take the next step? Would it be the bats, the defense, or the pitching?
I said it before. They need a closer.
Okay, so only pitching.
A true. Who is their closer? Who?
I mean,
Dominguez? Hand?
Robertson.
Who?
Closer.
Robertson? Take your pick. He doesn't go consistently. He keeps changing it every time you turn around. So
I would have thought you would have been on the like. I would have thought you would have been more positive at the Phillies.
going by what I see the last 11 years, I don't see it.
But times
But
have
okay,
changed, Dave. Times have changed.
okay, times have changed.
So James, I'll ask you, where
Sure.
do you see this team needing to improve in order to take the next steps to get closer to a World Series? Is it bats? Is it pitching? Is it defense?
Uh, there's not a lot to say about what they need to improve on because I think the stuff is already there. I mean, they got the fifth starter now in Syndergaard. They got the closer in Robertson. They got an outfielder, and I'm like, okay. I mean, maybe the one thing they need to improve on is maybe just like I guess like be consistent with ground balls. But Bohm's been doing a hell of a job too. So I got actually have nothing to critique honestly.
So I'm going to say that the one thing they have to improve on is defense.
Okay.
And the one reason why I say that is, and we knew in the beginning of this season that this was not going to be like the best defensive team. We knew that because of the players we picked up, and I understand that. But I don't even have a gripe as much with those players that we picked up that are poor defensively. I mean, like Castellanos threw out a guy at home plate on Friday. I mean, on Thursday, that could have tied the game and could have conceivably changed a W to a no decision or whatever. So you have your inconsistencies, and Dave will revel in this because this is someone he's been really on, and that is Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins is a guy that is not proven to me that even at first base, where you're not necessarily the most athletic, you're not the most defensive reliable, but you should be able to catch a ball, and or at least put yourself in a position to catch a ball. And I feel like Reese has struggled defensively. I feel like, again, I said before, DD kind of struggled defensively. Um, I feel like the center field and the outfield, they are what they are. Like, I'm not going to sit there and go, well, Schwarber's not doing this or Castellanos. You knew what you got. It's not buyer's remorse. But
I think your center fielder's covered now with this kid. I think it's definitely covered now. You're fine with that.
But I want to hit on Reese, and this is why I get I feel a little bit more closer to Dave's point of view about trading Rhys Hoskins. Not just because of, well, he's got a hot bat and that's great at times, but when you add sometimes that lull in your bat along with errors, that doesn't help this team. It just doesn't. And it doesn't help it when it comes down to routine plays. I feel like Jamie Moyer needs to be over his shoulder saying two hands, or telling him that he's got to be in better position. And I don't know if it's talent. I don't know if it's coaching that's not putting him in the right positions, but I'm gonna blame it on the guy who should have better talent and skills. And if this team has, the errors that it has in this season, which is quite a lot, this isn't going to be able to take the next step. So as far as even the previous question I had about a World Series run, I feel like this team could make waves in the playoffs because in shortened series, this team is actually built to win shortened series. So in the wild card where it's a 3-game series, they have a chance of really winning that series and moving on. So now
how would that work? How does that work? Is my question. Sorry to jump in there, Joe.
So it's a
the 3-game series. Is it 1-2-2? Is it 2-1-1?
No, the top
or 2-1. How does that work?
The seed that's higher gets 2 home games. So it's not back and forth. It's 2-1, I believe. I don't believe it. It might be 3. I'm not entirely sure. It might be just a whole series at that ballpark. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that it's a 3-game series. So
is it 2 home, 1 away? Is it?
No, it might even be a 3-game series. Just there.
I mean,
so
I don't.
So it might be that, but in the same regard, I see it as this team is built, regardless of where they're going to play and who they might play, that they're built for a short series. Now, that leads me to, well, what happens when they get to the NLDS? What happens then? Well, that's where you have to see really where this team's consistency or lack thereof comes into play. Because now you're playing with the big boys. Now you're playing with the contenders. And I still think they could get to the NLCS. I don't feel like they, unless they improve their defense to being stout, I do not see this team this year getting to a World Series. They have to play almost flawlessly in the field behind their pitchers, because that's the only way Wheeler and Nola look phenomenal, is if they have a good defense behind them.
Right.
I mean, that was proof. When Nola had a couple of those losses, he had them because there were 2 or 3 errors that game. So if you're doing that to your star, like one of your 2 aces, that's not helping them. And we can all kind of see that happening because of the records that this team had with Aaron Nola on the mound. He doesn't have a winning record, and there's a reason for that. It's not just the bats; it's the errors in the field. But James, let's pay some bills, brother.
Yeah, let's
sure
go.
Thing. So about, since we're going to try to get into a new subject, if you have workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, check out David R. Cherry Esquire with the Cherry firm. That number to call for an appointment is 610-565-0300. Again, that's 610-565-0300. And Philly Sports Trips, boy, I can't wait for this game, and I cannot wait for football season to begin, because this is probably one trip I would love to go to, and it's the Philly Sports Trips trip to DC on September the 25th, and that day we will welcome a guy back that used to be here, and he is now whatever the team is nowadays, but I'm hearing it's called the Commanders, and I said that in air quotes. Anyways, it's for lower level tickets, bus, food, drink, and entertainment for only $325. Visit www.phillysportstrips.com and purchase your tickets today.
Very good.
So, what's next? What's
all right?
What's going next?
Speaking, that's an excellent segue, James, because in speaking of your Philadelphia Eagles, we're gonna dive right in with the Birds.
Oh, here we go.
And I have some. I'm kind of disappointed because I had one doozy question for Frank. And Frank, if you're listening, please, keep this in mind when you come on the show next week, because I really want to get your feedback. I want to know, where do you see Jalen Hurts' ceiling as far as stats wise? Where do you see his ceiling this upcoming season? James, I'm going to start with you.
Well, here's the thing. I've been watching a lot of the Jalen Hurts thing, and like Dave has the Ben report, I have the Hurts report.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
And the other thing too is that I've been keeping close track whatever you Troy Parks is saying, and every single day I have what Jalen Hurts has had. But no, all joking aside, he has looked. I mean, sometimes the first couple of days of training camp, he looked up and down. I mean, it was a little concerning, but he's getting better at it. I've seen a lot of good progress with him, going back to last year when he took the team pretty much to the playoffs, like with its own bare hands. I think he's going to really make a step further in this year, because now you got the receivers like the AJ Browns coming in, then you got Devontae Smith coming back, and now Dallas Goedert, who's the top tight end now that the Eagles have to rely on because Zach Ertz is not here anymore, obviously. But overall, I see a lot of good progress with Jalen Hurts, in my opinion.
What do you think he could possibly accomplish as far as passing yards and touchdowns this year?
Well, the one thing I have to critique just a little bit is that he has to throw the ball down the field. He still hasn't done that, I guess not yet. But he'll learn from that. I think he's going to start to learn. But they probably are working on that on practice. They're probably not showing it yet, but they're probably keeping it all like hush hush for the season opener, obviously. So yeah, I think the one thing they have to do is that if the team if on paper they look great. If they look like on paper like a scary team, like a lot of people are saying, this could be a real fun year for these guys.
Dave, what do you
I have a
think?
question. I just have one question. I have one question. Is Whiteside still on this team?
He is.
I don't know. Where's he at nowadays?
Is he still on the squad?
He is TE2, tight end 2.
Tight end 2. Okay.
Wait.
I wasn't sure if he was on the roster or what, because I have not heard a thing from Mr. Whiteside at all. So I was just wondering.
J-Jaw is TE2.
J-Jaw. I didn't know that.
I would rather put Jack Stoll as the fucking second.
Well, it's funny you say that, James, because Richard Rodgers has just reported and been signed and reported to camp. And a lot of
Mr. Rogers has got reported to camp.
Mr. Rogers has come back to the neighborhood, basically. So,
umbrella, man.
Oh, jeez. Don't put the sweater on. Anyhow, so, having Richard Rodgers report to camp, I think that is a telltale sign that J-Jaw's not doing enough. But we already knew that. I mean, I didn't even know he was on the roster. To be honest with you, I had no idea. Let's evaluate something. If I have this correct, and I'm pretty sure I have it correct, the Eagles' tight end room is very crowded.
Is it?
You have Dallas Goedert. You have Stoll, like you said. You had Demarius Jackson, the guy from Coastal Carolina.
I forgot about Demarius Jackson.
Yeah. He's a tight end. You have J-Jaw, and now you have Richard Rodgers. So
J-Jaw and Mr. Rodgers, gotta love it.
You're not carrying 5 tight ends into this season.
No, somebody's gonna go. No.
Someone's going to the practice squad, and someone's getting cut. Yeah. And I think it's J-Jaw.
You think J-Jaw's going?
Well, because I think Richard Rodgers has already produced.
I thought they had a heart for Mr. Whiteside. I thought they had a.
Well, he can go have his mom hold his umbrella at other practice.
Put him in the bedroom with your umbrella too.
I think they have a special heart for Mr. Whiteside. Every time I turn around, he's on the team somewhere. But whatever.
Well, perhaps he'll show up in Oxnard and he'll have his mom hold it.
I don't want.
I heard you guys need a receiver.
Yeah.
I heard you guys need a receiver, so
Hey,
How about a first-round pick for J-Jaw?
I don't think. That's not gonna happen.
As we speak.
Me and my umbrella.
So,
Rihanna's getting good advertisements for umbrellas nowadays. Thanks to him.
So, Dave, where do you see, especially from your side too, because you may not want him to succeed as much.
I'm scared of your defense. To be honest with you, that's what scares me.
But
I think the defense scares me.
Where do you see Hurts' ceiling statistically?
Hurts' ceiling. Well, that's hard to say because, I mean, he has a couple guys looking over his shoulder behind him. Carson Strong being one of them. I think Carson Strong wants a shot one of these days if he gets a chance. But no, I think
you've been hanging out with Matty B too much.
No, I think the sky's the limit for Hurts. I do. He's got to prove to the fans that he can do it. Can he? Sure. I mean, he's got the running. He can run. He can throw. I mean, his throw's not that great, but he can run. He's smart. Give him that much. It's tough to call.
What do you think he can do passing wise? Like, what do you think?
You mean yardage wise? Like over 1,000 yards? That we're talking about?
Yeah, like over 1,000, over 2,000.
I'll give him. I'll say.
All right, let me put it this way to both of you: would Jalen Hurts take the over under 2,500 yards passing? Jalen Hurts, James.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right.
Under?
Yeah.
I'll take the under.
All right, so both take the under. 25 passing touchdowns, over, under. James?
Under.
I'm going to go 19. 19.
So under.
Both 19 under. 20. I'm in the same boat.
Interceptions. 15. Over, under.
10.
Dave?
Under.
Under? Under? All right. Rushing yards. Over 1,000. Over, under.
Over. Oh, the way he runs, I say over 1,000.
I would say over.
Okay. Rushing touchdowns. 10. Over, under.
15.
Okay. Over.
That's hard. I guess I gotta
The way he runs, yeah, it's
gotta say over.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you guys how I feel. This is how I feel like things are going to work out. I said last year that I think he was going to do around 2,000 yards passing and about close to 1,000 yards rushing. Now look, he got close to 1,000. I would have hoped for him to get 1,000, but it is what it is. Touchdowns wise, I said he'd have 35 all-purpose touchdowns, meaning passing and running. Yeah, 32.
There you go.
So I wasn't too far off, but my prediction this year is that he takes the next steps. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted Frank on. Everyone sits there and says, you have to throw downfield. You have to throw downfield. During the era of Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid, that was a very successful time and a very successful era in Philadelphia Eagles history, especially offensively.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have quite the talent in receivers. We all know that. But despite that, the percentage that Donovan threw under 20 yards was over 50%. So
I can see that.
You have to understand.
Well, he had Westbrook too, so you can't.
Well, I get that, but I'm saying he made it successful by not having to throw it with a high enough clip over 20 yards. All Hurts has to do is make sure he can complete. He's got enough talent. You telling me Devontae Smith and AJ can't break tackles?
Yeah, but what was Donovan's numbers when he had T.O.? I mean, my God.
That's where things skewed, actually. When I did my research, that's where things skewed. It was mainly because he would throw 25-yard sideline patterns. So it was a lot of sideline patterns.
Throwing bombs to T.O. like it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and Deshaun, like those numbers, if I just packaged Donovan's numbers over 20-yard passes, like the percentage, with just T.O. and Deshaun, it would have been closer to 90% over 20 yards.
Well, that was like Romo and Dez when he had Dez and T.O. It was the same thing. You know.
So, I mean, my ceiling for Hurts this year is 3,000 yards passing.
It's a lot.
I say 22 touchdowns.
Fair.
And I say 1,000 yards rushing with only 8 touchdowns. I think when this team gets down towards the goal line, they're going to try and put as much of the responsibility on either running backs, either Gainwell or Miles Sanders. I still think it's got to lean more towards Gainwell than Miles Sanders because Miles Sanders is a knucklehead. But you know,
so you're saying all these yardage, are they going to run? They're not going to run the ball as much as you're saying?
No, I think they will. It's just I think their defense is going to give Hurts, especially for like the touchdowns. I feel like I'm saying 22, but I feel like that could be conservative because I feel like this defense, I agree with you. This defense is scary, and I feel like they're going to give the ball back to Jalen in good positions. So
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
And I'm going to hear this a lot because I feel like, especially with this schedule, so I'm going to preempt this before this happens. A lot of those 3,000 yards, if it gets to that point passing, I'm going to hear this from Frank. Oh, those were garbage time yards. Listen, just because we smoke a team doesn't mean those yards still don't count. That's different. And I feel like
they all count, Joey. They all count.
I understand that. But this defense is going to put Jalen in great positions.
If that's the case, then dink and dunk Dak. I mean, come on, seriously.
Right.
You know.
But I mean, and
Yeah.
That's why I feel the way I do. You're not going
Right.
to need to throw over 20 yards if your defense is giving you the ball at the 40,
I agree.
at the opponent's 40.
Sure.
You're not going to have to. So my feeling is you're not always going to start at your 25. You're not going to always start on your side of the field. And this defense is going to make sure of that. I really do believe that.
Going back to special teams real quick. I know we haven't talked about special teams in a while. What's the point of the kick return if the ball goes in the end zone every single time? Just put it to 20. Call it a day. I mean, seriously. I mean, guys don't run the ball back anymore. And kickers are putting the ball in the end zone every time you turn around. Just put the ball to 20, call it 25, call it a day.
Go ahead, James.
I don't like that idea because like you never know. I mean, look, I understand it's a different league nowadays, but there was a couple of times like even the Super Bowl there was like a kickoff return for a touchdown. So like you'll catch one up in the air once in a while, but I always. Like, if you get rid of the kickoff, it's like, then what's the point? It's like XFL.
I understand that, but I'm saying, but these kickers nowadays have so much good legs, they're putting in the end zone every time.
Well,
yeah,
I have a
but it's better
solution
off just kicking it into the end zone and putting it at the 20. That's my person.
That's whatever. That's what I'm saying. You can kick it all you want, and if it goes, fine. If it doesn't, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to go in the end zone anyway.
I have a solution for that. If these kickers really think they're hot shit, then I'm going to put them on the spotlight. I'm going to put that ball on the 10-yard line and have them kick it from their 10-yard line.
That's what they should do. Put it. I agree. I totally agree with that.
You have a good long leg. Go ahead, kick it 90 yards. You earned the touchback if you kick it 90 yards. You earned.
I agree.
So I say put it at the 10. Have them kick it off at the 10.
I am the first to say I love a good run back, but let's put it this way: 9 times out of 10, when the ball's run back, there's a flag on the play. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. And then
that's a stupid point.
I mean, you see a block in the back, illegal, whatever you see, it's always a flag on the play. Or it goes in the end zone. It goes in the end zone to get it to 25. Either way, you know what I'm saying?
I'm still waiting for the idea that with the block in the back, they have to define that a little bit more. I really do. Because I think it's too easy for these refs to go, well, he pushed him towards his back. Okay,
right.
but did he push him at his numbers? Like, did he push him at his nameplate or the numbers behind on his back? Did he push him there? No, he pushed him on his side. Then it's not.
Where am I wrong, Al? Where am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong. Okay. Tell me. I need to know.
What happened? What did
Al says you're wrong, Dave. Wrong on what? When am I wrong? What?
Okay, Al. Define why he's wrong. I know.
Why am I wrong?
I know Dave goes off the deep end sometimes, but we gotta define that. So I'm gonna go. I want to get your predictions on. We're gonna do kind of a preliminary season breakdown of the first 6 games of the Eagles season. So your Philadelphia Eagles open the season with the Detroit Lions.
Ooh.
With the Detroit Lions, you got Jared Goff, first overall pick.
And they've been practicing hard for last time I would check. They've done 3 hour practices from I'm hearing.
Where are they practice? I mean,
somewhere in Michigan.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, they're probably don't need like fans or anything. They could just go. It feels good over here. Got the ocean breeze.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I kept hearing they're like 2 or 3 hours a day. Is what I keep hearing from that team. I mean,
well, if it's 45 degrees out, I would be too.
I agree. I agree.
What's that?
I think they are.
That'll be interesting.
So I'm going to start with James. James, break down how you feel like the Lions-Eagles game will go, and who do you think will win, and why?
Well, that's a good one because
is that at Detroit or is that home?
No, it's in Detroit.
Oh, it's in Detroit. Okay, I didn't know.
I think I would say that to me, I think it's a piece of cake. I think they got no
piece of cake.
They have no match with Detroit. I mean, it's going to be like last year on Halloween was 44-6. It will be like I think it'll be around that same kind of feel.
Well, Detroit's got a new coach. Detroit's got a new system. Never know.
I mean, but Jared Goff's the quarterback.
I understand that, but
I mean, it's gonna be a bad day for Goff. I mean, that's how I look at it. I think
bad day for Goff.
We're gonna be 1-0 by the first half. So that's all I gotta
say. They'll be what by the first half?
He said
we'll be 1-0 by the first half. So we'll be just like.
I think in the first game,
we'll be all going to be 1-0 by the end of the first half.
Okay, so Dave, you break down the game between the Eagles and the Lions.
I'm just trying to break down the practices first because Eagles are going hour and a half a day, hour a day.
They went 2 hours on the hottest day of the summer so far.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I give them credit. It was like 106 degrees on the field.
Right.
So
right.
Good on them.
Right. That's hot. I mean, it's been hot out. I'm not saying. I mean, I get it. It's been hot.
Let's put pads on you, Dave, and have you run around. So,
hey, I'm kicking. I'm good. I don't worry about that. Seriously, I really don't know. It's tough to call. It's still early. It's only August. But if I had to go, I would say Eagles 28, Lions 17.
I was gonna say 3. I was gonna say 3 sticking points.
I'll give him 2 touchdowns. That'd be nice.
All right.
I guess
I can see that. I mean,
I don't think
if Goff's on and he's tearing that defense apart, which he could, I'm not saying he can't.
But here's the thing with the Jared Goff thing is that our defense got so much better. I mean, obviously the Nakobe Deans of the world is one guy I'm looking forward to.
You're Nakobe Dean's running with the 2s, but I don't know what you're talking about. But go ahead.
But I'm.
Well, he is.
You're just a fucking hater.
He's running with the 2s. I'm just saying.
I'll let you hash that out. You two can hash that out. I see. I'm not the one who said it, James. So
I know you didn't. He can think all he wants, but if Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean are opening day starters, then I'm gonna be like, I told you, Dave.
And if he's not,
you won't get it, Dave.
See,
I'm still trying to figure out where I'm wrong.
Here's my thing. Well, where do I start? But here's my thing about the Detroit Lions.
I think they're better than we think they are. To be honest with you.
Good on you. You're probably one of the 20 fans that do, because there are people in Detroit.
Before you go there, Joe. Before you go there, and I love it. But is what's called still coaching there? Is he still there?
Who?
The
Patricia?
Eagles.
No.
The running back for the Eagles. He was coach there.
Deuce?
Yes, is he still in Detroit?
I believe so. I believe he is. Yeah.
Okay.
But that doesn't give anybody the upper hand when it comes.
I was just asking if he was still there.
But here's my takeaway. I feel like the way that Detroit is offensively, I mean, they're not good. This defense, meaning the Eagles, are going to feast on the Lions' offense. Feast. I don't think Jalen's going to have a good stats game, and I'm not saying it because he's not talented or he's not going to be talented. But like I've said earlier, I feel like this defense is going to feast. Therefore, Jalen's not going to need to. I mean, I feel like this defense could get 21 points from the Lions.
From turnovers from Goff?
From turnovers, from putting the offense in great positions, whatever it may be. I mean, I think you got to keep in mind, this is Darius Slay's coming home, coming back to Detroit. So he needs to show off a little. Okay. And I feel like he's going to. I feel like Darius Slay gets a
possibility.
One to the house. And I feel like then you have someone like a Nakobe Dean or even a Fletcher Cox sighting. And I feel like Fletcher is either going to let Jordan Davis feast or Fletcher's going to feast and Jordan Davis is going to open up everything.
Okay, but Joey, answer me a question. Does fatigue take a matter into this game, knowing that the Eagles are only going an hour or 2 hours of practice?
No.
I mean, fourth quarter, 8 minutes left. Are we tired? Are we fatigued? Are we hurting?
Well, I'll reverse that question. is going 3-hour practices in practice in summer before the season even starts. Is that wise to already, especially because this season's longer? It's 17 weeks. No, I'm sorry, 18. No,
It's 18
I was
weeks.
18 weeks.
Yeah.
18 weeks. Sorry. Still getting
That's
used to
okay.
the new schedule. So, NFL is consistently changing. The next thing I know, they're going to have 20 weeks.
Every time you turn around, something's going on.
So 18 weeks, it's a long season.
Sure.
So you're talking about put spaces now.
I'm just saying,
week 1.
Fourth quarter wise, it's 7 minutes left. Eagles getting tired.
The game might be in hand by then.
Well, it could be in that
that's
point.
how I feel.
But if
Gardner
it's not,
Minshew might be, the mustache Minshew man might be already in the building and might already be on the field.
Will we see a Carson Strong sighting this year?
This year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Will we see it to the level of consistency or like a starter like Matty B believes he could be? No.
It's a shame. I mean, if that kid didn't have so many surgeries, he'd be really good.
Well, he still has an arm, so that's something.
He can throw the ball. I'm just saying his knees aren't great.
Yeah. Well, ask who was it? Not Jameis Winston. It was another guy who had both knee. Oh, RG3. Ask
RG3.
him how his knees are doing. So, that's kind of a part of it. All right, and next we have the Minnesota Vikings. Dave, I'll start with you. What's your breakdown with the Vikings in the Eagles game?
Where's the game?
It's in Philly.
It's in Philly. Okay. I can see Dalvin Cook having a good day.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson having a good day. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, but Minnesota is so weird. They're a weird team. They're up and down. They're never. I mean, you can never know what Kirk's going to do one day from the other. I'm going to go Minnesota. I think Minnesota wins that game.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I'll take Minnesota.
Okay. James?
I think the thing with Minnesota is that, like Dave said, basically, they're just like a weird kind of team, I don't see any like fire with Kirk Cousins. I haven't seen him.
I mean,
light a
if
fire.
Kirk's on, he's on, but
Yeah, but but he can't be consistent. That's the problem. And I think it'll be. I guess it will be like a offensive kind of fair, basically, with the Thielens and the Jeffersons. But I say the Eagles are going to come into their home opener and they're going to be 2-0. So I got.
I'm 2-0.
2-0, James. 1-1, Dave. Okay.
Yep.
I have the Eagles winning against the Vikings, but the reason why, and it's because it becomes a closer game. This is where I think people start hitting a little bit of the panic button when it comes down to some of the running game, because Minnesota is going to have a good front, and I think that's going to stymie what we do with the running game. This is where I think Jalen has to perform, even if it's a dink and dump thing. I do feel like, however, that we have a big enough front ourselves that Dalvin Cook will also be stymied. And I feel like that'll open up the door, and Darius Slay and Bradbury and, all the secondary guys are going to be on notice, because I feel like Kirk Cousins is going to try and air it out because it's Kirk Cousins. But I agree with you guys. The Minnesota is a weird team.
They are weird, but they just lost Anthony Barr too, so that's a big loss.
Well, that is a huge loss. I mean, that was a guy.
He came to my team.
Yeah, we'll get to your team in a bit.
No, I'm just saying. No, go ahead.
So it's a big loss, but they still have a pretty stout front line.
They do
on that defense, and
their secondary is not great though. Their secondary is not the best either. I mean, last year it wasn't.
And that's why I think Jalen will expose that. And this is the other reason why I don't feel like people are giving Jalen enough of the thing. It's not always the quarterback that determines how well the quarterback plays. It's the secondary that he plays against.
Right.
I said this to you, Dave, last year. What was the thing I consistently told you about your team? I said, man, that Diggs guy he's dangerous.
He is.
And my feeling is when I'm scared of a guy like him because he could change the game. But when you have a secondary that is very suspect, it makes the job of the quarterback a little easier to handle.
I agree.
So I feel like Jalen will come out, and he will come out slinging. I think both quarterbacks will in Minnesota with the Eagles in Minnesota, and I think your Eagles will be 2-0.
Is the wide receiver from Minnesota? Is he still there?
Which one?
Adam Thielen. Is he still there? Thielen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. He's a Philly killer at times.
Yeah, but you have to. I mean, look. I think Justin. I agree with you in the first comment with Justin Jefferson. I feel like he might have a game like him and AJ. It might be like a him and. I would take him and AJ in fantasy if I were people in that game.
I'm telling you, Justin Jefferson's a stud. He's so good.
Yes. And
you know, he has Kirk Cousins as quarterback because if he didn't, he'd be even better.
And you know, as much as people like, Kyle Quinn wants to praise Howie Roseman, that's the one move that we all know he got wrong.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. So the next team in promoting once again, Philly sports trips. Your Philadelphia Eagles go down to go visit the Washington Commies. I'm not air quoting, James. Sorry.
Commanders.
I'm not doing that.
Commanders.
I still don't even know what their name is.
Commanders.
Oh, they're the Commanders. Yeah, whatever.
The Washington Commanders.
The only thing they're commanding is lawsuits against against the owner. That's all they're commanding.
That's pretty much it.
Because the people,
McNeil's Navy.
Yeah. That wow. Couldn't have put it any better myself right there. But
I am Giuseppe.
Yes. So your Philadelphia Eagles go down to see the Washington Commanders.
Thank you.
And face Sharman Wentz at FedEx Field.
Sharman Wentz.
Now, my question: book your trip today with Philly Sports Trips and fill the EOP bus. We're at over 500 people now. We are trying to get to 1,000. So book your trip today.
Are they over 500 already? Wow.
Over 500 already.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Book your trip today. And
how many buses are going down there?
A lot. It's a caravan, Dave.
I was going to say, you can't, wow, that's a lot.
We're even trying to talk to people to get a police escort, but, Mayor Kenny is who he is. So,
I love it.
But here's my feeling is this. What is your breakdown of this game? James, I'll start with you.
Well, I'll tell you what. Ever since I've been going back with the course of Wentz, seeing how he's progressing as a commander, it's gonna be a long afternoon for the ex Eagle. I think he's gonna
long afternoon, huh?
I don't think he's gonna be. That might be the game that Ron Rivera had enough and said, you know what, this is bullshit. You're done.
Wow.
I think that might be the game he gets benched.
So you got the Eagles 3-0? Wow.
They go back to Taylor Heineke?
Well, they got the other quarterback now, Sam Howell. So
that's right.
That's true.
Sam Howell.
Won't that be fitting that Carson gets replaced by another rookie quarterback?
No, I think Heineke's their backup.
No, Howell is. Heineke's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was there.
I don't know if he is or not. I think
he's still there. Heineke's still there.
But I would be very happy to see Sam Howell get a shot in the NFL. I would, because I think he's a quality quarterback. Dave, what do you think about the breakdown of this game?
I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be an Eagle crowd, to be honest with you.
Well, especially with Philly sports trips.
I can see the Eagle fans taking over that stadium. I mean, Cowboy fans take over that stadium every time we go down. I can see the Eagle fans doing the same thing. Will Carson still be there by game 3 is my question. I don't know.
Even I'm not that brutal, but okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying I don't. I think it's a revenge factor for Carson, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
I think he's still.
I think him and McLaurin are going to have a good day. If Ron Rivera runs his offense and does what he needs, like, it all comes down to Carson. If Carson listens to Ron and they can make it interesting, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any matter. I think it's going to be a close game. Yeah, because all NFC East games are close. I don't care who your opponent is. They know each other very well. All NFC East games are down to the wire. Yeah. I think it comes down to a field goal, to be honest with you. I think Washington pulls it out by a field goal.
All right. So we have Dave at 1-2. Your Eagles at 1-2. And James, you have us at what? 3-0? 3-0.
3-0.
Right. I am going to go along with James and Eagles pull off the win, but I agree with Dave in some ways, but a little bit differently. I feel like both teams, it's going to be an ugly game because I think both teams I think both teams kind of cancel each other out in some ways. I think the defenses on either side are really strong. And I really feel like it's going to muck up the game. I think it's going to be like penalties and turnovers, and it's just going to look ugly. I mean, I wouldn't be all that surprised if there were 6 total turnovers between the both teams in that game. I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I do see your Philadelphia Eagles pulling it out, and I do see it by a field goal. So moving on, we have.
Well, like I said, NFC East games are so tight, Joe. You know, they know each other.
They're gonna muck it up because it's just. First off, I do feel like Carson's gonna come in there with a vendetta. I do believe you're right in that, because this is a guy that has to prove to, not Doug Peterson, but Jeffrey Lurie. And Howie Roseman. You made the mistake. You betrayed me. So therefore, I have to show you that it was a mistake.
Well, didn't Donovan beat them with Washington when he was there?
He did, but not the first game.
Not the first game. I know he won. I know we won one of the games.
I actually watched that game with my father, so believe me, I was gloating. Let's just put it that way. So. Well, we used to call it, because my dad was a Washington fan and I was an Eagles fan.
You said that, yeah.
We used to call it the Marks Bowl. So twice a year, at least, there would be the Marks Bowl. My mom would leave the house, and it would just be me and my dad literally, like, screaming at the television. So, needless to say, in a row home in South Philadelphia, you could hear us a block away. But... that being said, we move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Dougie P.
Trevor.
I've heard some bad things about Trevor in the last.
I like Trevor. I'm a Trevor. I think he's gonna have a good year.
I do too, but I've heard some really bad things about him, as though he's not really putting out 100% effort, and it's interesting. I'm not saying it's all true, because not all reports are true.
Yeah.
But Dave, what do you see this Eagles team doing against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
It's a Dougie homecoming.
Yeah, the Dougie homecoming.
And there's nothing Doug would like more to win that game. But I'm not going to see it. I'm going to give the Eagles that win. I think the Eagles pull that off.
Okay, 2-2. So, James, what do you think about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
As much as I would love to see Doug pull that off, I don't think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to be a close game because it's Doug's homecoming, and I think it'll be a little bit like lopsided. It'll be like Lawrence and Hurts going back and forth. So I got to say, Eagles win, but it's going to come down to either a turnover or a field goal to win the game.
Ooh.
Okay, so I feel like this is another victory for your Philadelphia Eagles. And I do think that this is going to be an interesting game for a couple reasons. Number one, you're going to have two quarterbacks that are both versatile, that are both still trying to get a handle on the game. You're going to have two receivers in Christian Kirk and A.J. Brown that are both going to go off. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up some free agents on the defense, and they've made their defense a little better. But I still feel like that team is still lacking in other skills, even though their, budget says differently. I mean, they literally spent like the Yankees would spend.
They did.
But
They did.
I do feel like the Eagles will win. But I as a side question to this, do either of you think Doug E.P. tries the Philly?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
He won't do that. No. He won't do that.
I think it would be hysterical if he did.
That would be funny if he did it, but I think the Eagles would be ready for it. I
would want to see it happen, kind of, just so I could see N'Kobe Dean take out Trevor Lawrence. Little SEC, a little.
We hear you, Joey. We hear you.
Or Jordan Davis, or one of them.
Little SEC love there, Joe.
Yeah. So the next team we have are Cardinals.
Arizona.
Cardinals. Where do you see this game breaking? This is a rematch from a shootout last time.
Where's the game? Where's the game at?
I believe it's home. I'm not entirely.
No, it's in Arizona.
It's in Arizona.
Oh, it's in Arizona. Oh,
yep.
Cardinals win that.
Cardinals. Okay.
Yeah, I think Kyler goes off on that day.
So you have the Eagles at 2-3. Okay.
2-3.
All right, James.
I think this is the game. Depending on DeAndre Hopkins, if he's coming back from suspension, I think that might be.
Is he on suspension?
Yeah. He is. He's suspended for 6 games for PEDs.
Then okay, so
he won't be playing that game.
He won't be playing it because we're game 5. I don't see that.
No, I'm saying if his suspension got.
I didn't realize he was suspended for 6 games. I didn't realize that.
Right. If he appeals it, he'll get less.
He'll probably get 3. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad just said Hopkins still will be out by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, and Goodell's already busy with Deshaun Watson issues, so he's not worried about.
Is Zach Ertz? Isn't he with Arizona? Is that my mistake?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah,
that could be
that might be the game that he goes off against the Eagles.
That could be a good day for Zach Ertz.
It'll be a good game for Ertz. Yep.
So you have the Eagles. James, do you have the Eagles dropping this game?
Yes.
Okay. So you have the Eagles at 4-1. Me and James are on the same wavelength. I feel like this is a team that is.
You two share a brain.
Yeah. I feel like this team is going to go into Arizona, and it's going to be very similar to the last time we were in Arizona. It was a shootout. It was a straight out shootout.
Right.
And I enjoyed every minute of watching the game, even though we lost. Just because Jalen showed that he has the prowess, the poise, and the talent to do the things that he's capable of doing against another guy that technically he knows very well. So, with Kyler Murray.
Right.
And so you have to keep in mind that these are two prototype quarterbacks that you're going to see a lot more going forward in the future of the NFL. I mean, the Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama this past year was basically another prototype of Hurts and of Kyler Murray.
Right.
So I see the Eagles dropping this one in Arizona. All right, to wrap up our breakdown of the first 6 games, we have the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. That's what they are. All right.
Yes.
Dallas Cowboys on prime time.
Is that in Philly?
Yes.
Okay.
Dave? What's your take?
Who's that? Hey guys. Hey Anth, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Buddy?
Well, you know where I'm going with it. Time in question.
All right. So how bad
Boy-
do you see the Cowboys losing?
I don't see the Cowboys losing at all. No, I think Dallas wins that game. I'll stick with that.
Handedly?
No, I think it's close.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you weren't getting carried away.
Like I said, it's an NFC East game. NFC
Right,
East games are always tight. I don't care who you are.
You know how your Cowboys react.
Well, we blew you out last year, but
yeah,
we lost a lot. Like I said, we don't have Amari Cooper anymore.
Against, like the third string.
Well, I'm the first game. I'm not going with the second. Right. First game.
So, but, James, what do you think?
It's going to be close. I mean, it's going to be like another wide receiver kind of game. CD Lamb and AJ Brown, I think, will go off. It's going to be close, though. Again, another close game, though. But
he's going to go off on Jordan Lewis? Is that what he's going to do? He's go off on Jordan Lewis?
You're horrible.
He could. I'm not saying he can't.
But we got Jordan Davis, so.
Okay.
And the Kobe Dean. We'll have a day.
So you put. Okay, I'm sorry. You'll put Diggs on what's it called?
Brown.
Yeah. Not Brown. The other Devontae, and then you'll put your boy Slay on.
What do you call it? You're
I'm saying
about two different sides of the field.
No, I'm saying Diggs is going to be on. Devontae, yes, and your other guy will be on. The other back. I can't think of his name. Help me out here.
The other receiver, or
I'm saying I'm going Eagles defense or what?
Oh, you're comparing the Eagles defense with the Dallas defense.
I'm saying the who's going to be
Diggs.
Who's going to be okay? My fault. Who's going to be on? Who's Diggs going to be on? It would be on AJ Brown.
Okay,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying, and I think that'll be a fun matchup to watch. That's all.
Of course. Listen, I'm a big Trayvon Diggs fan. I don't have to be a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan.
No, Diggs and Brown it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a good
time. But it's going to be interesting. I think this game is going to be very interesting, and it's been one that I've been teetering with a lot. It begrudges me.
Time out, Joey. Before you go there, bring that comment up one more time, Jay.
What's happening?
I got good news. Carson Wentz's teammates are getting frustrated with him.
Shocker.
And he might get traded for the fourth time if Wentz plays scared.
There's something about me and a friend of mine talked about last night on the show when I was talking about Carson Wentz. This might be his last year if it doesn't pan out. I think he might be done.
Here's a thought.
It seems like everywhere he goes, it just doesn't.
He's a cancer. He's like, what do you call it? Like Ryan Leaf.
I'm gonna go with my prediction for the Cowboys game, and then I'm gonna dive into this because this is interesting to me.
All right, so we gotta wrap this up, Joey. Come on.
It begrudges me. It begrudges me to say that the Dallas Cowboys will defeat the Eagles that game.
Okay.
It begrudges me to say that.
Okay.
So that would put Dave would keep us at 2-4. James has us at 5-1.
5-1.
Yes. Yeah. 5-1.
And I have us at 4-2. All right.
Okay.
So that concludes the breakdown. We'll break down more of the games as we start to get closer to the regular season, and then of course we'll break them down as we get closer to those games. So I want to go back to this Carson Wentz thing. So this doesn't come as a shocker to anybody here, and I agree with you, James. Is that this guy could conceivably work himself out of football? Right. And I said this to Tom a couple weeks ago, and it basically was I felt like Carson is a guy that will be exposed. I said it to Tom on the show. Is I feel like he'll be exposed because now he's on his last kind of forgiving plan. Like, if you can't make it work by now, you're not going to. And a guy from North Dakota who thinks he's bigger than the game, dude, you're a Division II quarterback. Relax. You got picked number 2 overall, but you're not all that.
The other thing too is that like Josh Allen came from a small school too with Wyoming, but you know how Josh Allen works? He knows how to he teaches he he knows how to get coaching right to become a franchise quarterback. Ever since the Super Bowl year, he has been like I lost a lot of respect for him, quite frankly. I really have. And it's just that the injuries were like just a mindful about holding my collective breath. And, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Kind of like with Joel Embiid, but it was every single time when I saw him out there, it was like he was like his like even last year, like his footing is wrong when he throws the ball. Like his footing is not in the right state of mind, and also up here is like concerning him too. And I think he's probably one step away, like you said, Joe, from being done.
Yeah. And I go like one step further, even more so. I look at another guy that was a quarterback that was taken high in the draft and then just because of his actions kind of run out of town. And like you look at it like a guy like Johnny Manziel, and the guy made mistakes, and I get it, and everyone makes mistakes, but
Johnny Manziel was too much partying. He was a party guy.
Well, too much partying, but he's too.
Party pooper.
He thought he was the next coming of like Joe Montana, and I'm like, all right, dude, relax.
They all do when they come out of that draft.
I mean, I don't think. But see, here's the thing. I mean, many people would argue that Brady is over. I mean, some people. I'm not saying everyone, but there's an argument that Brady's over shot what Montana succeeded with. But Brady being like a 6th round pick and coming from Michigan, you have
as many people say about Brady, and they say a lot of things about Brady. At 45, he still is the best.
Yeah,
it's just to me, him playing at this age and at a multiple level at this age, I got to give him all the credit in the world.
Oh, I do too.
Because it's so hard to play. You know what I'm saying? You're playing with young guys, and you're making them look. It's just to me, Brady's still number one until proven otherwise.
So we're gonna close this show off with something fun to kind of discuss, and I said we would bring this back up. We've lost a couple great legends in the last week or so. We've lost Bill Russell. We've lost James Skip Wilson, baseball coach from Temple University.
I heard that.
A lot coached there, managed there for 40 years.
Long time.
He was intricate in Ed Wade's career. He was intricate in a lot of baseball players' careers that were very successful. So he shaped what Temple baseball was about, and that's important. And then, of course, we lost the great Vince Scully. And, I wanted to touch base, and it's kind of fitting because I think it's a given, but I just wanted to kind of see if there's a difference. What voice of sports, it doesn't necessarily have to be baseball, what voice of sports do you think most shaped your childhood?
It's a great question.
That is a great question.
Go ahead, James, you go first.
I guess I could say, Harry Kalas was one for the Sounds of Summer for me. I think that's the one thing I looked at it is, and even to this day, coming up on 80 years old in a couple of weeks from now, the great Merrill Reese.
Great Merrill Reese.
So, which one, if you had to choose one, James, which one do you think shaped your life more, Merle or Harry?
I think I have to say Merle in this case because, like I said, like he has a couple books out that teaches me how, like, kind of like when I do stuff at home, just to get a feel for the game. It's like he doesn't overextend the play. Like he kind of like feels like even though if you are listening to the game on radio and you're going somewhere, you can picture about what he is saying on the field, and that's kind of like I think that's the most important thing for me. I think Merrill opened my eyes more than anything.
Dave, what about you?
That's a tough call, Joey. I really don't. I'm not much on announcers.
But
I'll just
anybody that you remember as a child,
yeah.
whether it's just background noise or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I guess I gotta say Harry Callis. I was an Andy Musser guy. Maybe that counts for anything. I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked Andy Musser. I liked the way he called games on Channel 17 with the Phillies.
So
yeah, I would say Andy Musser. He's my guy.
So I'm between someone that's local and then someone that's national. Then both these people, both these men, shaped my childhood.
My national guy would be Pat Summerall. Anyway,
Okay.
I like Pat Summerall. I was a Pat guy.
Mine would be Gary Thorne or Kevin Harlan.
Okay. See, so my local would definitely be Harry because my dad was always putting the baseball game on, and even if I wasn't really paying attention, because I didn't get into baseball until much later in my teens, and Harry was just always the guy that even if I wasn't paying attention to the game, I would always hear his voice, and it was so iconic. And I feel like, me and Matty B said this on his show a couple days ago, and that is, it's kind of lost, I think, on a couple commentary voices nowadays to really be that iconic voice, meaning paint the picture, have a standard, know what you are, what lane you will most represent.
Mm-hmm.
And so Harry always painted the picture that it wasn't just a game, it was like an event. It was a story. When I first got into the Phillies, it was around 92. And still a young kid, still trying to understand the game. And here come these Phillies with John Kruk and Lenny Dykstra and Pete Incaviglia and all those guys. And Harry just painted the picture like it was an event. And it just wasn't just a game. Like, these guys were characters.
Well, Harry did more than just baseball too. He did football too.
Yeah.
He did football.
But I think his narration of what you were watching versus what was just going on was much different than most. Right. And the national guy, a guy that shaped my life, especially going forward, was John Madden. And one of the reasons why John Madden shaped my life in that way, especially with the way he broke down plays, is because he tried to understand the game on a different level. And I think sometimes you have people like Joe Buck that just want to hear from.
I love Joe Buck. I'm a fan. I like Joe Buck.
I have a lot of respect for him too.
I like Al Michaels too. I think he's really good.
I lost my respect with Al Michaels going back to the Super Bowl year.
Oh. Well, I mean, look, I think it's kind of lost.
Announcing. I have nothing wrong with him.
I think it's lost on some of the commentary guys nowadays that there's not like a deeper understanding of the game. Like they rely on whoever they're partnered with. And John Madden could have commented, Harry Kay and John Madden could have commentated the game by themselves.
Sure.
Like, conceivably. Nothing against Pat Summerall, nothing against Whitey, but it's they could. I mean, it's just the way that they could carry themselves. So
there's a call that sticks in my mind. That really sticks in my mind when Andy Musser called the Schmitty home run against Pittsburgh, and he goes, "He buried it! He buried it!" It just sticks in my mind every time I hear that. It's one of those Andy Musser calls that I just liked it so much.
It's amazing to me because if it weren't for people like Vince Scully, if it weren't for people like Harry Callis, if it weren't for people like Merle Reese, if it weren't people for like John Madden and everybody else in between, we wouldn't be doing this. because it's about what we do on this show is about breaking down what we love the most, and that's sports. And Vince Scully, the reason why there was an interview that someone did with Vince about 4 years ago. They asked him, why are you still doing this? You could have retired a long time ago. He's like, when you do something you love, it's not considered work. And he's absolutely right. And he loved it, and he wanted to do it as long as he could, and he did. And like James said earlier, our condolences are out to the Scully family, to the Dodger Blue family, and and I think, I also want to give a shout out because of us losing Vince. We just celebrated on Thursday the 50th anniversary of Dan Baker as a PA announcer for your Philadelphia Phillies. And he's only one of 3 PA announcers that still are doing it. That's 50 plus years. There's a guy, I believe Tom McCarthy said he is 92 or 95 still doing it.
God.
I'm like, good Lord. But
give it
I don't know if we see ourselves doing this at 95, but
hey, never know.
James, why don't you?
All right, James, take us home, man.
Take us home. Why don't you wrap us up?
Wrap it up.
Absolutely, guys. It was a great show as always, guys. I thank you to our sponsors over at David R. Cherry Esquire. If you have workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal, give them a call at 610-565-0300 or visit online at www.cherrynjinjurylaw.com. And Philly Sports Trips, like I said earlier, it's coming before you know it, guys. So it's going to be a very important day in history for every Eagles fan to enjoy this very moment when Carson Wentz returns, this time as a member of our NFC East foe, the Commanders, like Dave said earlier, on September the 25th, with lower-level tickets, buzz, food, drink, and entertainment for only $325. Visit www.phillysportstrips.com and purchase your tickets.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun trip. We are definitely trying to get 1,000 people. We're over 500. And let me just tell you, folks, $325 for lower-level seats, for transportation there, and food, and beverage. You can't beat it. And I've personally gone on one of these trips, and I could tell you, Vince, the owner of Philly Sports Trips, treats you like a king or queen,
there you go,
depending on who you are.
And don't forget our other shows we have during the week. Monday with the Broad Street Bully podcast. Tuesday nights with Matty B. Wednesday nights you got
Sully Squad too.
The Sully Squad. Monday night Sully Squad. Yeah. Wednesday nights you got Chet and Bill on their show.
Philly Press Box Radio.
Philly Press Box Radio. Sorry, and Big Al and Joey with their EOP. EOP show Thursday nights. I think it's a soccer show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes. Friday nights, I believe it's.
I think it's open for now.
Yeah.
Is it open for now for Fridays? Okay. Well, you got the Steel Step podcast on Friday nights, 10:45. Don't forget about that. Saturday, you have us, Pattinson Ave Phanatics show. Sundays with the Gobbler, 9 a.m. And Sunday nights, you have the lacrosse show with Gary and company.
Before I go any further, Chet and Bill had Brian Westbrook on and Leslie Van Arsdale talking about that book, The Mouse Who Played Football. That is actually a very, very...
Go get it. You'll love it.
go and buy yourself that book. You won't regret it. And great job, as always, by Chet and Bill on the interview. And also Chris Weaver, too. Fantastic work, as always. All right, guys, will wrap us up. Until next week, we'll have football. We'll have the Eagles' first preseason game, and we'll have a lot to discuss. Now for Joey Marks, for Cowboy Dave Yarnell, Damon Salim, Frank Finnegan, and Tommy Kelly, and all the crew here at the Pattinson Ave Phanatics show. This is James Scorza saying so long from here, and let's go Birds. Have a good week, everybody.
Later.
See ya.